It's a pleasure to be amongst all of you on a Saturday afternoon. I know I'm impinging on your family time, but unfortunately, I don't get time during the weekdays. So when Dr. Vats asked me, I said I will be happy to come on a Saturday afternoon if it's possible. And I'm extremely sorry that I pulled you out from your houses. I'm extremely thankful to you for your very kind words. There's a principal for her very kind words. And it now has become a little challenging for me to challenge myself to ensure that you feel your presence today was worth it. I have to ensure that I make it worthwhile for all of you. Okay. Dr. Vats told me that I should speak on education and the new economic policy and how it is evolving. Now, there are very many learned people in this audience who are PhDs, much more qualified than I am. And therefore, I don't know to what extent I can really tell you about education. But in the limited perspective that I have developed over the last 35 years in the government and 9 years in the private sector, both 3 years before I joined the IAS and 6 years since I retired, I will try and give you the basic essence of what I have captured from life and education, and how education is very important, because education is the only medium by which your mind does not vegetate. It forces you to think and therefore contribute and therefore create something new every day, which is what Dr. Vats is talking about. I found an excellent medium in LinkedIn to be able to reach a large community every day with whatever thought that triggers when I go through the LinkedIn posts that I get. Having said that, let me quickly reel down 12 points on education, which I think are very important by way of introduction. And then I will move on to the NEP, which is very, very important for any educational institution, and how you can extract the maximum out of NEP for your institution and for public good. First of all, I must tell you that because of NEP, 100 universities of excellence are going abroad from India to set up shop, and many foreign universities are enabled to come here. This you must be knowing, but I'm just mentioning this because this is something which has been going on for 75 years. Lots of talk has happened, but nothing has happened on the ground. Unfortunately, the NEP empowers this to happen, and I'm very happy when I see this happening already with the IIT setting up its first campus in Abu Dhabi. NEP will allow students to join one institution, pass out from another institution. You can join IIT Delhi and pass out from IIT Mumbai. You can join IIM Ahmedabad and pass out from IIM Calcutta. So these are flexibilities built in our system now, which never existed before. So this is another major thing that I wanted to highlight. The boundaries in education today are breaking up, and as a result, not only Indian students are going abroad and spending $17 billion in foreign exchange outside, a lot of students from Nepal, Sri Lanka, Malaysia, and South African nations are coming to study in India. In the Delhi University, you have a separate foreign students cell and a foreign students hostel. And now this is going to encompass all institutions all over the country. Fourth, because of the large demand in India for students, from students for admission, Vikram Shah from Mereto, I am told, has developed a unique platform for admissions whereby all inquiries are received on a portal, 100 million according to him, 100 million inquiries are received on his portal. All applications are automated, about 5 million of them, and 50,000 business users and 1,000 customers are using this portal. So just imagine, to ease the admission process, somebody has created a startup which allows fabulous work to be achieved in terms of ease of admissions. Now, the problem with India in the education sphere, which is something which alarms all educationists, is that we produce millions of graduates, but not even 50% of them are really employable. Hence, the biggest challenge to my mind, as I see it all over, is skill development. And today I read the Secretary's skill development and I made a small comment on LinkedIn. He was saying that he has tied up with the Tourism Export Promotion Council to create a large number of skilled jobs in the hospitality sector. Now, hospitality sector is growing the fastest in our country, and therefore he and the Ministry of Tourism together need to do a lot of work to ensure that you have a large number of skilled people available there. To my mind, the future of education lies in three things as I see it. One is design thinking. We have 6 national institutes of design, but the requirement for design for every fabric, for every article is huge. Many of our artisans are not able to get a good price in the market because they don't have the facility of good design support. You go to any fabric shop, any fabric shop of any type of fabric you buy, you will not get the design of your liking because there's very little design innovation. So one of the biggest things that will make us equal to developed nations is design thinking. And I'd urge Dr. VIPS, sometime in future you can think of creating an institute of design here. Because the public ones, 6 of them, NIT started 50 years ago in Ahmedabad. There are 5 more branches now. But they are still not able to penetrate the huge demand for design which is available in the country. The second thing is AI, and I'm sure AI is catching up so fast that I don't have to speak very much about that. I see very widespread use of AI everywhere. I saw your presentation and saw the work you're doing also. And I'm seeing that in other institutions also which are making a presentation. So AI, I will not dwell further. And the third thing is media and entertainment, as I mentioned. Today, the amount of premium on leisure is very high, and therefore, media and entertainment is getting a lot of attention from anybody who can spare a few hours, a few days of his time, and a few thousand rupees or a few lakhs of rupees of his wallet. The point I'm trying to make is media and entertainment you already have, I think. And media and entertainment is something which will flourish very significantly now that JioCinema is going to capture most of the entertainment space in India. Another thing that I wanted to mention is cyber security is going to become very important as we move into a digital era very, very quickly and very, very expansively. Cybersecurity is something that I'm sure must be a part of your curriculum, but if it is not, I think it is important that cybersecurity becomes a part of your, it is, okay. Because 7 million cyber attacks is the figure that the Ministry of Home Affairs gave me with respect to daily cyber attacks all over the country, 7 million. Now, we have to keep ourselves safeguarded from all these cyber attacks of all kinds, and therefore difficult, complicated passwords, changing of passwords often are very simple techniques by which you can protect yourself. Teachers' role is fast changing, and as all of you are teachers, I must say that skill development amongst teachers, faculty development programs among teachers is very important, because if you develop substantially daily, then your students will benefit immensely. And I'm sure you're doing that in this great institution where all facilities are made available and are increasingly being expanded as I see it. You have all the facilities. So try and inculcate this sense of feeling that you need to learn every day as much as you need to teach every day, because learning and teaching cannot be separated, and they must go hand in hand. Another thing that I feel very strongly about, and this is because of my management background also, we often tend to forget the benefit of what is called SWOT analysis: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. We face this SWOT parameters every day. And if we are clued up to this SWOT analysis on a regular basis, we'll be able to eliminate many of these threats, tap many of these opportunities, strengthen our strengths, and reduce our weaknesses. This is something which is taught at IIM Ahmedabad very regularly, and almost every professor is breathing down our neck to do a SWOT analysis, because that's an inbuilt, easy tool to ensure that you progress and you prosper in your particular discipline. Now, in a conference on education, which was organized by Economic Times about 6 months, on 21st September, I had made a few points there which I thought I'll reiterate here, because I think they're very, very important. We have 25 national science centers in different states, started by the Government of India, the Department of Science and Technology. Now, every person who's exposed to AI and space research in the last 1 year, these two topics have been the hottest topics in the newspapers. They want to know, what is AI, what is space research, what is this Chandrayaan, and what is this Aditya L1? And unfortunately, there's no mechanism by which you can teach the public what is going on. So I had suggested there that in these 25 national centers, we must create videos of 1 hour each on AI and space research, and throw it open to the public to come and see and understand what is AI and what is space research. Now, this is something which your institute can also do, because you have all the facilities here, you have the best of labs. And this can be a great medium of your public education that you can do through your mighty institution, as I would say it, This National Science Centers must do it as a matter of public purpose, but this is something that you can also do. Secondly, I had also suggested that many progressive schools in this country must teach AI to the students, because students start with hand tops and laptops at the age of 10 these days, or even younger sometimes. And it is very important for them to understand what is AI, the advantages and disadvantages, so that they are not misused. But creating content and course content in schools also is very important. Although it's not applicable to you, I thought I'll mention it here, because we have 7,000 towns in this country, and that is where we have our more than millions of schools and millions of teachers teaching. I had also suggested that a lot of companies, a lot of institutions want to hire AI firms to do the various AI use cases for them. But we don't have a system whereby we know which is the best. So I had suggested that Niti Aayog can empanel a lot of competent AI firms after doing due diligence, so that a list of empaneled firms is available on the net, and anyone who wants to use it for any use case can then utilize the services of the. So this is something I'm sure Niti Aayog might have picked it up. I mentioned it on LinkedIn also. Then, as I just mentioned, AI has both ethical and unethical uses, and therefore it's very important for us to have a policy mechanism available to ensure that we have guidelines for use of AI. USA has announced the guidelines 2 months ago. EU has announced it last fortnight, and we are work in progress. But I hope we are able to issue these guidelines very soon so that AI is used only for ethical purposes. This is very, very important. My last point is, I saw the ex-chairman of Infosys photo outside. Now, Infosys is one of the largest software developers and exporters in this country. But Infosys has hired NVIDIA, to train 50,000 employees in AI technologies. Imagine if Infosys feels the need to train them, you can well realize the requirement of AI trainers that will emerge in the years to come. It is going to be phenomenal. And there's large premium already on AI and data analytics engineers because that is where the future is seen. The edX founder Agarwal, I found his quote very good. He says that while ChatGPT is democratizing writing literacy, he says the maximum disruption by AI in any sector of this country or the globe is going to be in education. So while ChatGPT may democratize writing literacy, you don't need to be ABC literate to do this, but the fact is that the maximum impact will be on education. Therefore, I once again stress that an institute like VIPS, which has enormous facilities and enormous resources, should concentrate on best use cases of AI, especially in the field of education, so that you can transmit it to the larger community. I move on now to the national economic policy because I had again gone through it while I was preparing for my seminar of Economic Times in September. And I found for the first time a very exhaustive document has been prepared called the National Education Policy. Now, I don't know how many of you have gone through it very carefully, how many of you have imbibed what options and facilities and scope that it provides. So I'll try and quickly reel down 20 odd points which I think are relevant for all teachers. Since I was asked to speak to teachers, I thought I will focus on this because it should be useful for all of you. Number one, for the first time, NEP talks about holistic and multidisciplinary education. Holistic and multidisciplinary. Now, this is something which we have never done before. If you chose arts and you chose psychology, you had to major in psychology, that's it. If you chose a particular subject, that had to be your subject all along. You couldn't switch, there was no possibility. This provides you a great opportunity to do holistic education at undergraduate level. And while you have undergraduate courses, I'm sure this ability to provide options of various types is something that you will consider very strongly in your board, because that is the crux of the policy, to my mind. Multidisciplinary, holistic education. The second point is the restructuring of UG and PG courses. Now, it is not a mere restructuring in terms of changing the curricula a little bit here, tinkering here and tinkering there. It's a complete restructuring of UGC. You can join one institute and come out from another. Your credits will be accepted wherever you go. Now, these are things which never existed during our time. We couldn't even think of that. Suppose the chap was brilliant in economics and mathematics, he couldn't do both the subjects together. And there were friends in my college who were equally good at economics and maths, but there was no maths in economics, just a little bit of statistics was there. So the options that get opened for bright students to be able to master 2 or 3 subjects at the same time is conjoined on this new national economic policy, which is very, very important. Third, it provides for education and research universities for the first time. Promoting research is becoming an important ingredient of this policy. During our time, research was done if you had passed your postgraduate and you wanted to do an MPhil or a PhD, research would start. Today, research has become an integral part of the student curriculum because everything requires research. You can't reinvent the wheel. Everything is available. So unless you do something new, unless you do research, you're not able to contribute to the body of existing knowledge. To tap it all, the National Research Foundation is going to be created, which will have an overriding linkage with all the 40,000 colleges and 1,000 odd universities in this country, National Research Foundation. So I would again strongly urge that you tap the resources of the National Research Foundation as soon as they are put in place, so that you get adequate funding and then you can create research teams out of that. Effective governance and leadership in higher education institutions like graded accreditation and graded autonomy to achieve excellence in 15 years. Now, this is something, again, which has never happened before. A lot of universities will get autonomy. Already, I believe Delhi University has been given that kind of autonomy. And I think 8 other universities recently announced for such autonomy. Deemed universities were allowed earlier also, but this kind of autonomy will ensure that you'll have no interference from anywhere. And autonomy would mean autonomy of research, autonomy of action, autonomy of teaching, and will empower brilliant minds to produce the very best that they can. A regulatory body, you will not have any AICTE, you will not have any UGC, you will have a Higher Education Commission of India, like the Union Public Service Commission. They will monitor and regulate education in the country. Teacher education, you'll have a national curriculum framework for teacher education. Again, something that never existed. You only had an NCERT. Now you'll have a full-fledged curriculum for teacher education, which I think is a very, very important part of the national economic policy. Technology in education. A National Education Technological Forum is going to be formed for promoting use of technology. Now again, technology has existed in our country in different facets, in many institutes, in different ways. But we've not had a National Educational Technology Forum whereby you can concentrate all the resources and then disseminate them wherever they are required. Again, this is something that you should tap whenever it comes into existence. It may take a few years to come into existence, but I think work is being done on this. Now, this is another important development which is not there during our time. If you wanted to do a PhD after post-graduation, you had to do an MPhil and then do a PhD. You can now do a PhD straight after an MA, which is again a huge economy of time. There was no need to do an MPhil to do a PhD. I don't know why this was started, for what reason it was started, but the correction is being made in NEP. As I mentioned, the students will have multiple exit options and appropriate certifications after a certain period of time. That means, as I mentioned, you can exit and enter any institution. This is something which students must be made aware of, and they must avail advantages of this. I'll give you an example. My brother, younger brother, he taught Bhagat Singh College in BCom Honours and was given in second year a chance to join Shri Ram College. But Bhagat Singh College said, why should we let you go? So, the exit option wasn't there. Today, if you're a bright student and you want to move from one institute to another, that option would be available, which is a great thing. Now, you can do other courses along with your courses, as I mentioned. This is something which is being enabled by this. Now, establishing partnerships with foreign universities. As I'm going through, I've gone through about 15 institutions in the SFRC, seeing their presentations. And one of the columns we have is collaboration with foreign universities. I find very few institutions have a real collaboration. They do some online courses, that's okay. Foreign collaboration means exchange of faculty, exchange of students, and exchange of course material. I'm a benefactor of that, and that's why I'm saying this. We used to have Harvard course material taught to us at IIM Ahmedabad. We used to have Harvard professors coming here, our professors going to Harvard and teaching there. So when you have that kind of expertise exchange, you learn tremendously. So therefore, this business of establishing partnerships with foreign universities, getting in international students here and facilitating student and faculty exchanges is a very, very progressive step in our national education policy. And I would again urge you, in all the 4 or 5 disciplines that you teach, you must try and get the best of foreign universities to collaborate with you, both in terms of faculty exchange, student exchange, and in terms of course material. Because, these universities have been spending millions of dollars in creating this facility. And if you're able to tap them and have this kind of and you have all the resources, many foreign universities may not want to come to another institution because they don't have resources. But you have the resources, and if you can create this exchange, I think you will benefit tremendously, your students will benefit tremendously, your faculty will benefit tremendously, and they will get to understand India, because everybody wants to understand India today. All the money is here, all the investment opportunities are here. More than 7% returns are here. There's no other country which gives you more than 7% returns annually. So this is something very important. Then, as I mentioned, institutional autonomy, decentralization of decision-making is a part and parcel of this policy, upholding quality standards, transparency and regulatory systems. I move on now to the credit transfers, the prioritizing of research and increasing investment in science and technology. I already mentioned this, but you may not be aware of the amount of money that is available for research today. If you tap all the national research institutions, there's so much money available for dedicated researchers to create whatever they are working on. This does not include the startup money, which is separately with the Department of Industrial Policy and Promotion. There are 1,14,000 startups registered in India, and these startups get separate money, but the research money that is available, I would urge all the faculty members here to kind of search and find out where this money is, and I'm sure through Dr. Watts and the leadership here, you'll get opportunities to tap that resource. Skill development, I already mentioned. India started embarking on a major apprenticeship program. Those students of yours who don't want to take final placement or don't want to do higher studies, the apprenticeship scheme of the government is very important, and they can be hired as apprentices by any private sector firm, where they'll work on the job, learn the job, and then contribute there significantly. Another important thing which the policy talks about is encouragement of Indian languages. So it's not necessary to be proficient in English to be able to achieve excellence in any field today. There are solutions available in every language, so to speak, and we are creating AI systems in all Indian languages today to ensure that everyone is at a level playing field. The last 2 points that I wanted to mention was, for the first time, the universities will be categorized into 3 types: teaching-intensive universities, research-intensive universities, and autonomous degree-granting colleges. So just imagine from a regular university where, only thing done was teaching and a little bit of research, you'll have research-intensive universities. So those students who are research-minded, who want to do, theoretical research or practical research, will go there. You have, as I mentioned, teaching-intensive universities where you'll have pure teachers, and autonomous degree-granting colleges also. So this is again encompassing all aspects of education into this three-mode division that has been created. My last point, and this is one of the most important points, because we have a large population which is adult and which is not fully educated. So distance learning, online courses are becoming extremely important. I keep sending a lot of LinkedIn messages to Dr. Butts. Most of the foreign universities today have free online courses, including Harvard, Cambridge, Stanford, Cornell, and you can do free courses sitting at home. Now, this is for those who understand, know this, but for the large mass, I don't know if you're aware, the Department of Higher Education has created an online portal called Swayam. Swayam has more than 50,000 online courses. And this, through the national education policy, is going to have more and more expansion. You will have digital repositories where you can, tap into old archival material. And you will have, as I mentioned, credit-based education even in online. So these are some of the facets of the national education policy which I thought I'll bring to your notice. I think I'll stop here, if you permit, and take any questions you have, or I can go on and speak about a few other things, but as I leave it to you, as you want. Anyone has any questions, I'll be very happy to answer them. Or maybe it's too late in the day. Please.
So, when you speak about research-based universities, apart from research, what will they do? So will they have admitted students only who are interested in research? They'll not grant other degrees? How will they function?
You see, the intention is to create, today if you see any university, including Delhi University, which has probably the best reputation all over the country today, because of historical reasons, because of colleges being more than 100 years old here, because of the fact that you can't get admission here if you have less than 95% mark. You see the amount of research being done here, it's not even 5%. Not even 5%. It's all teaching. Now, what happens is these the students with research mind then go abroad because they don't find avenues for research here. They don't find funding for research here. So government says we'll create research-intensive universities where primarily 95% of the work will be research and 5 or 10% would be teaching. And you'll have teaching-intensive universities where there'll be little research but more teaching. And then you'll have autonomous colleges of any kind, like NIFT is an autonomous college on fashion technology. You'll have people being taught that only, and you can branch out into the practical world from there. So the point is, for a research bent of mind to be developed, if you keep it as part of a university, it gets neglected. It gets neglected because research techniques are not taught in the postgraduate courses. You have to learn research techniques only after you do a post-graduation, and then you start doing your research. It's very laborious. These research-intensive universities are going to cater to that kind of mind.
And sir, one more question. The students who pass out of these universities, research-based universities, where do you place them? Specifically to research companies?
I don't know if you're aware, the largest need today is of researchers. Why? Because there's very little innovative, creative output coming out. Everything has been learned. The general expression, if you ask anyone, is, everything is available. Where is new? You take LinkedIn. You see 100 posts in LinkedIn. How many of them are creative, novel output? Because people don't do research. So we are lacking in research as a mindset in our country. Whereas researchers are paid the maximum in all foreign universities. So if you do this kind of, I'll give you another example. All the PhD students in IIM Ahmedabad are called, there's a word for it, I'm just forgetting that. So these students who pass out as researchers, they don't do an MBA, they do their PhD equivalent. Fellowship. So, FPM, Faculty
Fellowship Program
Fellowship
of Management.
Program in Management, right. Memory. So these guys are picked up not only by universities to teach, they are picked up by large corporations because they know they have the facility of dedicated professional research. There's a huge demand everywhere today. In banks, you'll be surprised there's huge demand for researchers. Because it's all about data, it's all about, culling data and making sense out of data, getting insights out of data. So researchers are going to be at a premium everywhere. I don't foresee any problem anywhere.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
And research is where you'll get the largest number of books published. Research is where you'll get the largest number of patents. Research is where you'll get the largest number of, innovative designs, innovative products coming out. Very important to my mind.
Thank you so much, sir.
In fact, I asked this question to all the institutions who make a presentation before me, how many papers have they published? And I asked them, professor-wise, associate professor-wise, and assistant professor-wise, as you might have seen. Yeah, any other question? Feel free, I have no issues. I'll answer whatever I can to the best of my ability. Yeah, please. Please sit down.
So just now you have assured that feel free and you can ask questions.
Yes.
Therefore, I am asking questions.
Yes.
Okay. My name is Rashmi Salpekar. I'm from law.
Law, okay.
And as you know, we believe in Article 14, right to equality. And another article which is very close to our heart is Article 21, right to life. If we really believe in Article 14 and 21, which even we do not suspend during emergency, then why there is no equality to give research grants to a teacher who is working in affiliate institute? I hope that in national education policy, the more opportunities will be given to all the teachers, irrespective where they are working. Can we expect this?
Well, I am telling you very frankly that if you have suffered discrimination anywhere, I am very surprised because today's education system, I'm not talking of 1980 when I passed out from IIM Ahmedabad, I'm talking of today. Today, every institute has to do research. You can't get promoted if you have not published papers. You can't get promoted if you don't have adequate research experience. So the point I'm trying to make is, Making research resources available today for any university is a priority. Now, if there is some discrimination you're facing, that is due to bottlenecks and red tape and bureaucracy. I can understand that. The point that you asked, whether it will be available, I assure you it will be available. National Research Foundation that is being created with a huge corpus. That's why I'm asking Dr. VIPS to tap into all those resources as soon as they come into play. Please understand, having worked in the government for 35 years, I can tell you, if you look at the Delhi University allocation of funds for research and its utilization, you will find there's a huge gap. All funds are not getting utilized. The same is the case with JNU, same is the case with Jamia Millia, Delhi. Now, if the three main universities of Delhi are not able to utilize their research grant, how can we say there's discrimination? Your point is valid. There may be discrimination in a particular institution for a particular purpose. That's a different thing. Right.
Criteria aspect. We are doing one research, and in that, if you are a teacher in a university, your proposal will be accepted. But as we are working
In an affiliate institute, we are required to give presentation, a scrutiny will be done, and then selection will be done. I have no objection with this. Even if this opportunity is given, yes, we are ready to prove ourselves. But at least these kind of opportunities must be more, at least under national education policy. And it is not about publication, it is about empirical research.
Okay, I'll check with the Vice Chancellor of IP University.
It is not about IP University in all, if you will see.
No, affiliated institutions are affiliated to IP University.
Yeah, but
So if there's a problem, he has to handle it.
absolutely.
One more problem, because for any research grant from government institutions, like we need to have registered under 12B, and that is given only when there is permanent affiliation. So we are not eligible for that, and that is why our all application proposals are rejected from there.
Let me speak to Dr. Verma. I'll talk to him. This is not something which is not workable. This is something which is workable. You see, please understand, I firmly believe that if you have a good research proposal and it meets the general criteria of a research grant, you will get it. Because there aren't too many takers. Please understand, you're saying there's a shortage, I'm saying there aren't too many takers. Yeah. Please.
So thank you very much for reiterating something we've always been hearing from the visionaries of our leaders of that research is the paramount activity that we all have to indulge in now. And of course, teaching is comparatively secondary.
Not secondary.
Or, okay, if not secondary, then it has to be parallel, but teaching as compared to research is not as, I think
Let me clarify
taking
that.
a slight backseat.
Let me clarify that point.
Yes, sir.
A teacher becomes a better teacher with research. So it's not that one against the other.
No, but
It's
that's not my problem, sir. So my conundrum comes from the fact that when you talk about research, it is of course at a higher level of learning and the higher learning institutes that indulge in it. But my understanding of the education system that India has always had and is unfortunately still continuing with is the very fact that we are based on rote learning, which includes the prestigious UPSC exam that you have written. And I think all of us who are sitting here would agree when I say that the student who has written the longest answer or the student who has written it as accurate to the textbook or maybe a research article or whatever would be given the higher marks as compared to a student who writes the same concept but in probably their own word.
So that's one point, because the fundamental age at which you are starting to learn, you are being forcefully taught to learn not the concept but the language, the words, the particular pattern. You have to write it in 10 marks means you have to write 20 points, and that's the basis, you know. So when you are creating children, students who are inculcated that format of learning, I don't think research will be the right outcome, because you talked about skill development, and my understanding, of course it's much limited to your experience, but what I have understood is that there is very minimal appreciation given to somebody who is understanding the concept and applying it, as opposed to somebody who is giving it to you in the format that is given in a textbook, or you know, which is the expected language for it. Now, so when you say research, there has to be out of the box thinking for research, and that is never appreciated among students, as in at the larger level. When I go to correct answer scripts in the university, I have literally seen 2 hours, 2.5 hours, answer sheets are corrected, and they have just flipped through them. We don't even bother reading the answer in entirety. And this is not just one university where I am working. It is across the length and breadth of this nation. So if we really have to target at research, and we have to improve ourselves from the 5% where we are and go to probably 80%, 90%, 95%, we need to start thinking of how it is that we are training our children in learning. What is the way in which you are teaching?
I agree with you to some extent, but let me clarify 3 points. School education is also getting transformed. I don't know whether you're aware, if you go to any good school today, you will find this learning by rote is being discouraged. It is being discouraged to the extent that they can, because examination systems have not changed very much. But the point that I'm making is what I was exposed to when I was in class 10 in St. Columba's School, and what a child is exposed to today in class 10 in St. Columba's School is widely different. He knows probably 10 times more than I knew. And therefore, his curiosity, how do you vet his curiosity? He will ask a lot of questions in the class. The teacher must be able to answer those questions. If you don't answer those questions, his curiosity is not vetted. So therefore, saying that our students will not learn, they are getting exposed to so much happening around the world. I was looking at some of the journals that institutions are leaving behind, and I find extraordinary work there. So the point is, the curious mind wants to know, and that is the basis of research, nothing else. And who doesn't have a curious mind, you tell me? Even the dullest student has a curious mind on something or the other. That's what we need to inculcate. That's all. I mean, he may not be good at English, he may not ask questions in English, but he may be very good at psychology, he wants to ask questions in psychology. His curiosity is research. And if we don't blunt a child's curiosity, or a teacher's curiosity for that matter, you will get better researchers. It's curiosity, it's plain simple, how, why, where, when. Yes, just ask questions. I'm writing a piece on India's leadership in WTO. It should come in LinkedIn in a few days. I've asked so many questions. 30 years we've had WTO, and all the conflicts are continuing. Why? Basic questions we have to ask, and you ask questions, the research material will be ready. I'll give you an example, a very simple example. CSIR has, and I'm not trying to boast, I'm just trying to give you an idea that sprung in my mind and became a matter of concern. CSIR, Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, has 40 laboratories. I know them for donkey's years, because I've dealt with some of them. Now, I saw a LinkedIn piece of Principal Scientific Advisor to the Government of India, saying that we are trying to promote research and all that. Then I asked him, what is happening in these 40 labs? Has somebody monitored these 40 labs? Huge amount of money is being given to these 40 labs. If you go through it, you'll realize how much money is there, how many scientists are working there, how much research is coming out. And lo and behold, it must have struck a chord somewhere. And yesterday, Dr. Parminder Maini, who's I think number 2 in the office of the principal scientific advisor, she took a meeting of 137 labs in this country to find out what they are doing, which ones are doing well, which ones should be promoted. So the point I'm trying to make is just a simple question that came to my mind, and I voiced it, struck a chord somewhere and it worked. So a curious mind is the basis of all research. I very strongly feel like that. And everybody has this curiosity. No exceptions. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much.